From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBacks, the Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. And it's Friday, but we usually have them here on Wednesday, but I had to get them in. This is our second show and last show of the week until we get back Monday. And you know who I got with me today? The one and only, the legendary sports radio aficionado, NFL sports agent, my man, Mike Abadir.
What's up, Big Pop?
What's going on, baby? Can you hear me?
Rockin', man. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, man. I can see that we are both not in our home bases. You're obviously in beautiful Miami. I'm in NorCal, the Yay area. But yeah. We're still coming at the viewers with all our intensity and energy on these road trips.
Yes, sir. I'm over here. I'm actually in the suburb of Hollandale Beach, where our favorite Florida track is at, Gulfstream Park. I just passed by it, and it is a beauty, Mike. One of these days, we got to spend a whole weekend out here, go hit Gulfstream a few times, South Beach it up, you know, all the good stuff.
I've actually been to I've been to Calder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been to Calder. And, man, the one thing the impression that it left me with was the turf course is so wide. I'd never seen anything that wide. I mean, Del Mar's isn't that wide, really. But Santa Anita, none of the other tracks in California compared to how wide that turf course was. It looks like it could handle like a 20-horse field.
Yeah, and I haven't been inside Gulfstream. We just passed by because I just wrapped up the undercard press conference. Chad Ochocinco was there. Also, the former undisputed 154 champ Jarrett Hurd, Baudu Jack, 175. Baudu had the fight against Pascal, but that fight fell through because Pascal got popped for steroids as well too. So that fight, so they had to bring in a fill-in. So pretty much that's where we're at with that. But let's go ahead and jump into it, man. State of the Lakers, Mike. Let's talk about it.
Lakers are toast.
Okay.
Lakers are done. And I think it was very telling from the other day, right? I'm sure you're going to recap it right now. But from the game before, it looked like it didn't look very promising. And then early on, the body language was concerning to me.
I totally feel. And my thing is, to Laker fans, Laker Nation, do not blame LeBron for the reason why the Lakers lost. Do not blame AD for getting hurt. These things, these circumstances happen. That's professional sports.
For sure.
So get over it. It's okay. The Lakers are fine. You know what? It wasn't their year this year. Even though, Vegas had them as the favorite to win, Vegas likes to just take your money. So you guys have to understand that part as well, too. So at the end of the day, it's going to be okay. Life goes on, and you just go back to enjoying your summer. And if you love the Dodgers, hey, you got something else to root for. And this is an exciting NBA playoff as well, too, Mike. So pretty much you have to go ahead and just enjoy the moment. You made it. You got there. You were a 7th seed. You had a tale of two seasons where you were the best team in the NBA at one point. Then you turned into a middling team. It happens. Injuries, you never know when they're going to occur. They occurred at the worst possible time. And as the Lakers were trying to get it back together, then you wind up running into chemistry issues. And then you bring in guys like Andre Drummond, who have a loser mentality as well, too. Mm-hmm. Then you stop playing Trez. There's a lot of things that are getting questioned right now with the Lakers, but it will come out soon as we get to the offseason and the roster is overhauled. Mike, your thoughts?
I agree with everything that you said regarding not assigning blame to LeBron, to injuries. That's just a part of the game, right? Let's consider a couple of things. Let's start with Schroeder, because this guy turned down a mega contract betting on himself. I respect people that bet on themselves, but when you're the next man up and your name is called, you have to deliver. And clearly, Schroeder did not. I mean, he did a little bit better yesterday than he did in Game 5, but overall, he was miserable. I mean, what, 0 for 9 in Game 5? That's not a $100 million player. I'm sorry. Right. So I think he cost himself a lot of money with this performance. Yesterday was, at least on the stat sheet, it looks a little bit better. I don't know how much impact that he had. I don't think he played a great game by any stretch of the imagination. The other thing to consider is this, Pop. LeBron has played an enormous amount of postseason games. It's probably added up to what, 2 seasons? I don't know. I mean, NBA playoffs are long, right? So, I mean, if he's playing like 10, 12, 16 playoff games times how many years have been in the league? 16 or 18 or whatever. You know, that means he's played a lot of extra games beyond what other people have played. And that catches up with you, man. Especially this year where you had the NBA season in the bubble and a very short break and then start again. They jammed a bunch of games in a shortened schedule and then boom, you're into playoffs. Even had they won, Pop, consider this. Today's June 4th. The NBA Finals are in the middle of July. I don't think that the Lakers could have hung in there health-wise, energy-wise. You know, fatigue would have caught up well before that. So it was kind of inevitable. If it didn't happen against the Suns, it was going to happen the next round. And that just what, you know, look, the Suns are a fresh shooter. They weren't. They're the fresh shooter. You know, you have a horse that ran in the Derby and in the Preakness, and then you have this other horse coming into the Belmont, you know, having not raced in 2 months, right? And that's the Phoenix Suns. They haven't been in the playoffs in 11 years. So they seized the moment. Congrats to them. Booker is the real deal. We'll see what Chris Paul could do, because I'm kind of anti Chris Paul a little bit. I used to be on the bandwagon big time, but how he did not win with DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin and company, Jamal Crawford, all those guys, and Doc Rivers, that's beyond me, man. But I digress. That's the state of the Lakers, in my opinion. A lot of games, short period of time. It was inevitable that they were going to lose. Now it's time for them to retool and figure out what they're going to do from here. I don't think they're going to break up the whole thing, but I think they do need to make some roster moves and consider what direction they're going to go to in their future, because LeBron ain't going to be around forever.
And LeBron signed a 3-year deal. This is year number 3. He did extend. And when you look at it, LeBron kind of had to go back into the beginning of his career, where you missed the playoffs your first year in the NBA. Then you missed the playoffs in your 16th year in the NBA after coming off of 8 straight finals as well, too. And people have to understand LeBron James did something very unprecedented. He played in 9 finals out of the last 11 years, including 8 in a row. You haven't seen this type of situation since Bill Russell. So his expectations were much higher than most NBA players ever. And so when he loses in the first round, it's like, whoa, now Father Time is catching up. No, it's the politics of the situation, Mike. He moved over to the Western Conference. The Western Conference isn't a cakewalk like the East. Everybody's moved over to the Eastern Conference. The conference is now turned into the Western Conference, in a sense what the Western Conference was 2-3 years ago with dominant teams. So at the end of the day, LeBron James is the same age as me. I'm 37. LeBron will be 37 in December. at some point, you have to understand that this man has been playing basketball at the highest level since he was a freshman in high school. Not as a, guy who just got good all of a sudden. No, this guy has had the championship expectations since his first day in high school. They call him the chosen one for a reason. And there's a big reason why. I know he wasn't as successful as Jordan, Kobe, Kareem, Magic, all these guys, but he is the face of the league. And so there's going to be a lot of people like, where do we go from here? Because the NBA doesn't have a face after LeBron. It's that simple. And that's why LeBron gets all the pressure. So to me, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be a huge series because now you get away from the LeBron mania, and now we can really sit up in here and watch two great teams go at it in the conference finals. Don't forget about Denver being a pretty good team as well, too. I don't see the Jazz going that far at the end of the day. So it looks like it might wind up being a pretty good situation for Denver this season, unlike last year. And I think that could be your your Western Conference champion, because Jokic by far is the best player in the NBA, and I don't care what anybody says, Mike.
You made so many good points there. I agree with just about everything that you said. I think there's always a soap opera effect when you're talking about the Lakers, the Yankees, some of these teams that are legendary like that, especially when the focal point is on a couple of superstars. And I agree with you, man. Now is the time where basketball fans can just sit back and watch some basketball, right? And have a different rooting interest, because even when our teams are eliminated, there are teams that we don't want to see win, and there are other teams that we kind of need to see them win. Maybe it's a certain player that you want to get a ring, or maybe it's the arch rival that you don't want to see them win. So I'm going to actually turn the tables and ask you a question. Do you want to see the Clippers win for LA? Or if it ain't the Lakers, we're not going to hang up a banner in Los Angeles?
I think that the Clippers find themselves in a situation where everything matters about tonight. And if they don't get this thing done, this series, bye-bye Kawhi, because I'm going to tell you right now, New York's sitting right downstairs right now, ready to sign Kawhi to a monster deal. We all know that because New York is about to go big game hunting. We both know this, Mike, because they're confident now. They know they got a great coach now. Now they need the face, the superstar. And, I know I'm getting off the topic a little bit and everything like that, but the Clippers are in a very pressurized situation. This is one of the biggest games in Clipper history coming up tonight.
But is Kawhi is Kawhi a New York kind of guy?
I think that
he's Cali through and through. Do you think he bought a house and all that kind of stuff? No, I know it doesn't matter because he could buy another house. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's got New York in him. I don't know if he's got it down deep to want to deal with the media at that level in New York. I might be wrong, but that's just my gut instinct. You know what I mean?
Right. I look at it when Randy Johnson went to the Yankees. Randy Johnson wasn't a media guy.
No, not at all.
He was nothing but a city slicker, as they would like to say. You know what I mean? And, pretty much he comes in there with his attitude, and the New York press, kind of knew how to go about it, not to piss him off. And I think they'll do the same thing with Kawhi because they respect the talent there. All right, Mike, let's go ahead and get to the next topic in hand. As we saw last night, the Blazers were ousted last night by the Nuggets. We were just talking about them as well, too. What do you think about the future of Dame Lillard moving forward? Because there was a cryptic tweet last night about where do I go from here?
Obviously, he's very frustrated. He's very upset, emotional. He balled out. It was a really fun series to watch. And, it was closer than it looks, But with that said, the Portland Trail Blazers are this generation's Utah Jazz. Remember how many legendary Utah Jazz seasons with Karl Malone and John Stockton And even guys like Ostertag and guys like that rose up. And they finished with the best record in NBA a few times. But they just were not able to have any success in the playoffs. Yeah, they did make it to one finals and lost. But I mean, to me, I look at the Trailblazers as the Utah Jazz of the 90s. You know what I mean?
So, hey, I hear you on that because teams with big expectations, just like the Dallas Mavericks as well, too. You know what I mean? And just like the Portland Trail Blazers when Clyde the Glide was there. But, you know, Clyde the Glide, his crew could actually go ahead and get to the NBA Finals. They're a little bit different from this group. They're going to have to do something to suffice the losing. They got to bring
Well, it
another
looks like there might be some breaking.
like LaMarcus
I'm
said,
sorry to
okay,
interrupt you. It looks
I'm
like there
gonna stay
might be
here
some
with Dame.
breaking news.
We're going to be great. We're going to figure out at some point in time where we.
You know, I think our timing is off, by the way. So apologize to the viewers about that. But so I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But it looks like there's some breaking news. Our producer, Imani, just informing us that KAT, Karl Anthony Towns, is getting traded for McCollum and a host of other players. I'm sure he's going to be looking up the details while we're on the air here. But that's an early move already. I don't think that they can make it official until after the season is over, but they could probably agree in principle to the players involved and whatever cash is involved. I think there's going to be a lot of player movement this offseason, and I think it's going to start with some of the teams unloading guys and retooling. And they're seeing kind of like the model that the Suns have used to get to the top. And I think there are teams that are out there like the Sacramento Kings lurking and others that are like, they smell blood in the water. The Lakers are maybe down, and this is our time to rise up. And so I think that Western Conference is going to be a lot of fun next year. I don't mean to jump ahead too much, but I mean, that's what this is all about, right? I mean, the Trailblazers, where do they go from here? I don't think that his cryptic tweet is, I'm out of here. I think it's just his raw emotions coming out in a text version via Twitter or Instagram or wherever he sent that. And, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he's one of those guys that doesn't want to be on a super team. He wants to be able to win it, and with his crew in his original drafting team. You know what I mean? So, and I respect that.
Totally. And one thing I'm looking at too, since we are talking about Cat being unloaded, just know D'Angelo, if they're unloading Cat, they're going to get rid of D'Angelo Russell as well too. I'm thinking with A-Rod in partnership as an owner, he's going to copycat what Derek Jeter did in Miami. First thing Derek Jeter did was trade Stanton to the Yankees. And then he started shipping off everybody to LA as well too. Top prospects, top players, for just whatever players. And I think what their idea is that they're going to build around Edwards. And they're going to have to make a team custom made for him. So what they want to do is they want to live in the lottery for the next 2 to 3 seasons as they got Edwards on the cheap before they had to extend him. Because that kid right there is a bona fide superstar. I was hard on him in the beginning because he went to weak Georgia. Georgia is not the typical school to produce a top 5 player.
No.
But Edwards is another guy that was kind of circumvented by the situation with college and pros. This is a guy who should have probably been able to go to the NBA right away. Same thing with LaMelo Ball. See, those guys were high school phenoms ready for the league. And a lot of these one and dones, they're not ready for the league. So they're holding teams like the Wolves up. You know what I mean? Cat was really good, but Cat, you know, he has a lot going on. And rest in peace to his mother, everything like that. But even before his mom passed away, he has a lot going on, and it's a mental thing with him sometimes. And I think that the best move for the Wolves right now is to go ahead and let him go, get his walking papers, be with a team that's just a bit different, that has some organization to it, just like Kentucky University where he went to. So at the end of the day, I just really feel like what they're going to do is we're going to have a massive shift of talent. And your boy Marvin Bagley from the Kings, he's on the trade market as well too. And if you're the Lakers, you might want to look into that because the kid has a boatload of potential, a boatload of talent. But we all know that Luke Walton is a higher echelon college coach. And I really feel bad that, you know, Arizona did not offer him the job. You know what I mean? I thought he was going to the Wildcats. The moment that you saw Sean Miller was out, you say to yourself, come on, Luke Walton is perfect for that job. Because Luke Walton needs to go coach college. That's my opinion. He seems like a college coach, and they keep giving him all these kids to coach, so that's why he keeps running into the situation where he's losing 50, 60 games a season because he's coaching kids. If he was coaching kids in college basketball, he'd be a 25 to 27 game winner each year. The last 4 or 5 years he's been coaching just because of his knowledge of the game. But sometimes you got to season yourself at that level before you get to the big boys. You know what I mean? I think that there was an overhype with him because he filled in for Kerr on the 73 and 9 season. And really, we all know at the end of the day, that was a cumulative situation between all the assistant coaches. It wasn't just about Luke. Luke just had the job of speaking as the interim head coach at the press conference, and that's it, and that's all. You know, but that team knew exactly what they were doing. You know what I mean? They were just playing off a rhythm from the year before. So it is what it is at the end of the day. The Blazers are going home. Jokic made sure that he played 2 of his biggest games at the right time to get them out of here. And that's why I said that man has to be considered for MVP very heavily. I don't know who's better than him in the league right now. And if he's able to guide this team to the finals, this is a no doubt about it situation, in my opinion.
I think with Luke Walton, maybe the mindset is I have relationships in the NBA right now.
Right.
And I'm still young enough to relate to the players. If I come back in 10 years, there's going to be a bit wider gap because the NBA players, their ages stay the same. You know, guys come into the league at 20, 21, 22. But my age as Luke Walton keeps going up. I can't slow that down. And so the gap widens with each and every year that he's out of the NBA. And I think that was probably a part of it, you know. Communication is so big nowadays. How to deal with your megastars and superstars is so big nowadays. I think he kind of had to take advantage. He was dealing with Curry. He's dealing with all the stars on Draymond Green and Clay and all those guys with the Warriors. He's like, hey, man, I can just continue doing what I'm doing and doing it well. And so it makes sense to me because you could always go to college basketball because the coach's age in college basketball doesn't really matter, you know, because they're always looking for a coach that has elements of being a father figure anyways. So that's kind of my quick take on Luke Walton. I know we kind of shifted our focus a little bit, but I think he's going to be okay. I think he needs maybe one more really good draft under his belt and bring in a couple of free agents to Sacktown if anybody's willing to go there. And maybe we'll see kind of a reformatted version of Bibby and Weber and Vlade from the past.
My bad. Somebody was asking me a question. I had to let them know I was doing a show right now. You know, he's asking, he's like, I don't work at the hotel. My bad, Mike.
He is like,
it happens, bro.
Where's the bathroom at?
You know what I mean? I was like, I got on a sharp shirt today. I guess that's what it is. But I totally agree, man. Luke Walton, I think God damn it, this isn't fucking Mandalay Bay. Oh, oops. Too bad I own the I own the show, so I can say what I want, but I try not to be that guy. You know what I mean? I hear so many people, it just comes out real ignorant too. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, sometimes people don't want to hear the bar conversation. You know what I mean? So, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But let's go ahead and talk about the event I'm out here for, Mike. Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. It isn't an exhibition. They keep saying it's an exhibition. Both are looking for the KOs, and I saw this with my own eyes yesterday at the Versace Mansion when they were having their press conference. And, you know, Logan, like you said, he had a good point. He has nothing to lose. Everything is on Mayweather here. Mayweather might have put himself in a situation that might come back to bite him in the butt, but I think that his experience overall, 40 years of boxing, will be the defining factor in this situation. But when you see them both size up and line it up, Logan Paul is very big compared to Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul is 3 inches taller than me. And I'm much taller than Floyd. I've been in his club before, and he was right next to me yesterday. So when I look at that situation, I say to myself, yeah, Floyd's going to give him a bruising, but at the end of the day, though, he might have to take some punches to get that bruising in. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Look, this is the best defensive boxer in history. Logan Paul, I think he's kind of a gimmick. Now, I just want to go back to something you said, which is whether it's an exhibition or not. I get what you're saying, but this is an exhibition for one reason and one reason only. It doesn't go against Mayweather's record.
Correct.
So if he gets the W, it's not going to be enhancing his record. If he gets the L, it isn't going to show up in his Wikipedia page for his record. So from that perspective, it's not. For legacy perspective, I mean, you can't be the best boxer or one of the best boxers in history and then get beat by an amateur. You just can't. He's the best defensive boxer in history. He's a tactician. He's very smart. He knows when it comes to distance and landing the punches, there's nobody better than Mayweather. Simply put, Logan Paul is not very good when it comes to distance. And you're going to see him miss a lot. He doesn't have that good gauge distance-wise.
I agree. And I think that, you know, this is a good way to make a lot of money. It's that simple, Mike. We both know this. This is a mega event. They're landing upon this as if it's the Super Bowl. I've been at Super Bowl Media Week, much bigger. But the outlets that have showed up for these ones are major outlets. I've never seen Bleacher Report show up to a boxing event, ever. And they've shown up in the 2 years I've been covering boxing. I've never seen them show up. They showed up. They're there. BR Betting is here as well, too. You know, there's a lot of people in the room. And pretty much this fight is much bigger than they're giving it out to be. And we're in Miami. It's a pretty good weekend here for tourists and things of that nature. People want to come in and look real good and everything like that. So I think that this is going to be a monster event. The whole city's buzzing about it as well, too. You got Badu Jack on the card. Even though he had the situation with Pascal, he'll still have an entertaining fight. Jarrett Hurd is going against Luis Arias. They're having a lot of trash talking going back and forth. And then you got Chad Ochocinco taking on Brian Maxwell, a guy who's from the Bare Knuckles fighting challenge. And he fought one pro boxing match. But the thing is, though, Chad has him by a couple inches as well, too. And he's pretty lengthy compared to him as well. But they should have a pretty fun fight because it's only going to be 4 rounds, and it won't be much to it. But I think the 2 fights that I mentioned before that, those are the real boxing matches, and that's why you guys should tune in because those are going to be some great fights right there because these are stepping stones to bigger fights down the road. Mike, final thoughts on this before we go to our commercial?
Yeah, I think there's one wager that I want to give out, which is the under 8 rounds. I don't see it going 8 rounds. No way. I think Floyd finishes him off in 4.
I think what happens is it's going to be an injury, and that will force the fight to end. And I think it probably will wind up being a broken nose as well. That's what I'm thinking. And it won't be Floyd.
No.
You know what I mean? But Logan Paul is a beautiful guy, beautiful soul. Pause. I didn't mean it like that, but he's a good guy. At the end of the day, he's playing his role correctly. His brother as well. And if Don King was around for this, he would love every moment of it, to be that honest with you. Because all you see is dollar bills, y'all. That's it. That's all.
Yep.
All right.
Just don't wear your hat around the brothers, man.
Don't wear your hat. Don't bring your girl. Don't do anything around them. Okay.
Exactly.
So with that, let's go ahead and check out our great sponsors over here at hatclub.com. Hatclub.com. You guys can go ahead and get yourself 10% off on any $50 order or better. Once again, that's going to be hatclub.com. You guys can get yourself any
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DBacks, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Primetime Angles Live. This is Mike Abadir holding down the fort for Pop DiBiase. He will be joining us in a quick minute. He made some good points about the Mayweather fight. It's going to be really interesting. I'm still wondering the big question. How did amateur Logan Paul land this fight? How do you get Floyd Mayweather's attention? I just don't understand it. There's only one reason and one reason only that makes sense, which is the payday. These brothers, the Paul brothers, Jake and Logan Paul, they have such a big following. They started off as YouTube sensations and have been able to ride that wave of popularity straight to the top. And for any WWE fans out there, these guys have transitioned into playing the bad guys role in the WWE. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of intrigue about this fight, not necessarily from a technical perspective, because Floyd Mayweather is a tactician. Technically, he's about as sound as they get as a boxer. So I'm looking at this more like entertainment, the entertainment value of this. Everything leading up to the fight and during the fight, the walk-in entourage and song that they choose, all that stuff is going to be a big part of this event. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to Pop's coverage on this. I know he's going to do a fine job. He'll keep us informed all the way around. Maybe even send us a few photos, hopefully. So, that's kind of my take on this fight. It's interesting to me because not just is Mayweather coming out of retirement for this, But we have another old timer that's kind of lurking around the corner who's going to be fighting really soon here, like in August. He also has a huge following, maybe a little bit more international than Floyd's following. And of course, I'm talking about the one and only Manny Pacquiao. I believe the fight date's been set at August 16th. Don't quote me on whether it's 16th or 15th, but it's somewhere in that window. And he's going to be fighting the other brother, Jake Paul. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that as well. That one's going to be in Las Vegas. Whereas this one here that Pop is covering obviously is in Miami. So that's a little bit on the boxing roundup. And until Pop fixes his technical difficulties, there's a couple things that I know he wanted to talk about. And we'll get to those in a quick moment here. But the Belmont. How many of you guys feel that what Baffert received in terms of a suspension was coming? That he had it coming? That this was inevitable? That he's just violated way too many rules and gotten away with it for way too long? And ultimately, we see two jurisdictions clamp down big time. The Kentucky Circuit, Churchill Downs, and NYRA. That's gonna hurt Baffert, right? Because we now know that he's not gonna have a Derby winner for the next couple of years. He cannot. Now he could assign an assistant trainer to be the trainer of record, but Bob Baffert's not going to be the trainer of record on the next two Kentucky Derby events. Similarly, Baffert has been excommunicated, if you will, from NYRA. So obviously he can't participate in the Belmont, any of the Saratoga races that he would consider. Pretty much Baffert's only options at this point are inside California, and Monmouth Park said that they're going to receive him with open arms. So, Pop, I was just saying, I love me some Baffert. Baffert's made me some nice money. He's going to go down as the best trainer in history. He is the Bill Belichick of horse racing, and Bill Belichick is the Bob Baffert of the NFL. These guys push the envelope in order to win. They push the rules to the limits. I still contend that this was a violation that would have been acceptable in California, not acceptable in other jurisdictions. But hey, man, you got to play by the rules.
Right.
He's got to know that by now. He's way too experienced and too savvy of a trainer to make that screw up again. So ultimately, he gets what he deserves, man. So we're not going to see a Baffert Derby winner for the next couple of years, or any Triple Crown contenders in the next couple of years. I don't know if he'll be allowed in the Preakness or not. If not, then we'll see what the Breeders' Cup does. I don't know if the Breeders' Cup has made a statement yet, Pop. Will they allow Baffert runners in the Breeders' Cup events? That's going to be really interesting to see, because we all know that Baffert is usually a big part of the Breeders' Cup Classic at the very least.
Well, luckily this year we're going to Del Mar. And Del Mar has very good ties with Baffert. They're not going to look at this the way that, Kentucky did. See, Kentucky wanted to teach a lesson, because thing is, as I keep saying, horse racing has two black eyes on it. Boxing has a black eye, but horse racing got two black eyes on it, where you got people you worried about cheating, and then you're worried about the safety of the horse as well, too. And literally, whenever anything happens, it becomes a national story in a negative light. and they're trying to keep the positivity. They want that positivity to come back. They want the days of, Secretariat and Silver Charm and another really good horse, Smarty Jones. Those great stories, but they're not getting them anymore because it's always a dominant trainer and a drug situation. Linda Rice is out the game as well too. She was a great trainer in New York, and they sat her down for 3 years. So
I think she was able to reverse that because I saw her name on some Belmont races this week.
Right, but usually they'll have the name there, but it's going to be the assistant trainer that's in charge of that. That just means that the horses didn't leave her barn. That's all it is. You know what I mean? But just like what happened with our friend Doug O'Neill a few weeks back off of a kind of a spotty test, he had to have Leandro's step in. You know what I mean? But it's still the mount. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he wasn't going to lose any horses or anything like that. It's just that you got to send in the assistant. But I know what you mean, Mike. You know what I mean? And hey, you know what? It is what it is at the end of the day. We're going to have a great summer of horse racing as well, too. Santa Anita's coming down to the end. Santa Anita's about a month left at Santa Anita. And then we go over to Los Alamitos for a few weeks. And then we get on down to where the surf meets the turf. And I can't wait to be there on opening day as well, too, with Del Mar. Hopefully, they'll have the circuit correct this year, Wednesday through Sunday, for the fair circuit. Because everybody should know there is a fair that's going on at Del Mar as well, too, other than just horse races. And that's why they only did 3 days last year because they couldn't do the fair. So it is what it is at the end of the day. All right, so did we already take a commercial break when my computer and everything fritzed out?
I don't know. I was trying to kind of hold down the fort for you. I don't think that we took our second commercial break. Maybe we did. You know what? My mistake. I was kind of multitasking a little bit. So we got it in.
Okay, let's jump into a Blue Crew Daily. All right, Dodgers set for a 3-game set with the Braves, Mike. This is a pivotal series, bro, because you got to understand the Braves are a team that the Dodgers faced off with in the NLCS last year. And they got some bad blood with the Dodgers right now. We both know this because the way that series ended with the Dodgers winning 3 in a row to win the series and pretty much with that Atlanta team that had won 3 games in a row to get to where they needed to get to at the end of the day, this is boiling up to be an awesome fall classic rivalry type situation. I feel like there's going to be some chaos to this series weekend. Real quick, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a great series as well. Obviously, anytime you have this type of situation, you kind of have that grudge match, revenge matchup. Yeah, man, it's these are the dog days of summer. You're going to see a lot of different matchups throughout the summer. And, it's going to be a situation where they're going to move out of the NL West in terms of their competition for a little bit of time, and then they'll kind of come back to interleague play, and then some more NL West teams. But yeah, that's going to be really exciting. Conversely, by the way, the Yankees and the Red Sox are matching up for the first time this year. I don't remember ever the Yankees and the Red Sox having their first meeting in the first week of June. Ever. But you asked me about the Dodgers and the Braves. Expect some fireworks, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's a must-watch series, in my opinion.
I agree. I totally agree. We got Julio Urias on the mound, one of the best in the business right now. Possible Cy Young winner this year as well, too, if everything keeps working out the way it is for him this year. I know it's a 3.61 ERA, but the kid's going out there throwing double-digit strikeouts literally every game, and he's dealing. And his confidence is at a high level, and he's playing exactly to the expectations that were there when they signed him as a 16-year-old out of Mexico and brought him up as a 19-year-old to be a reliever. This story has been in the making for years. And I say, don't compare him to Fernando. This is a whole new wave. You know what I mean? Fernando was Fernando was a shot in the arm. He married a culture to a franchise, bringing in the Mexican fan base to be big time Dodger fans at the end of the day. So they married this situation. Now Julio's taking it to the next level on where this guy's talented and he's kind of keeping up with a tradition. Ishmael Valdez, Mexican pitcher, who was big time when he got to the Dodgers. The Dodgers always had to have at least one little guy from Mexico in the pitching staff. And that's been happening since we had Fernando there. So at the end of the day, the Dodgers know what they got to do. They got to win 2 out of 3 games here so they can stay right here in the race. But the Dodgers really, if they expand the playoffs somewhat this year like they did last year, they should be comfortable. But I keep telling people, don't worry about it. By the end of August, the Dodgers will have a 5-game lead and be in first place. All they got to do is just get a couple series in with San Diego and the Giants and have it go their way, and everything works itself out.
Clearly, they outclassed the Giants. But you know what's interesting is that the Giants folded like a cheap lawn chair in the first series, but they came back, and they came back with a vengeance. They didn't lay down in that second series, man. I believe both were sweeps, right, on each other's turf. So
no, actually, the Giants won 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So on the season series, the Dodgers are 4-3. So it's super tight. Super tight. You know, I got to give it to the Giants. You know that they were able to match up with clearly an inferior roster to the Dodgers. I don't think there's any question about that. But look, if the Giants keep pitching the way they're pitching, they're gonna stay in this thing for a while. I think they've been in it long enough now that they've earned my respect. I can label them as not a fluke.
I agree. This is going to be a 3-headed monster right here. Colorado, Arizona, just start thinking about spring training, dog. That's all I can say about those two. Spring training is on your mind, and you know what? You're probably going to be getting rid of your best players by the end of the summer. So you guys can go ahead and just restart this thing. And once again, before we move on to our pick 6 and everything today, free Charlie Blackmon. Free him now. He's too talented to keep playing in Colorado, dude. Seriously, way too good. I know the mustache and everything is a big seller with their people down there, up there, but at the end of the day, let the man walk down the way. Don't Hundley him. I mean, not Hundley. Our boy who used to play first base for him for years.
Oh, Todd Helton.
Todd Helton, Todd Helton's brother is the head coach of USC, right? They're brothers, correct? They're related.
I think they're related. I don't know if they're brothers or not. I'm not sure.
Todd Helton was an All-American quarterback coming out of high school, and he played for Tennessee and decided to play in the MLB to have more years on his career. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our first game of the day today. And it's going to be Red Sox, Yankees. Let's get into it real quick. Red Sox got off to a hot start. Yankees started off slow. Now they're kind of colliding up at the top, but the Rays are sitting there being the little guy with his fist balled up, ringing it around like this, saying, "Don't forget about me." But right now it's all about the Red Sox and the Yankees. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a matchup of Nate Eovaldi versus Michael King, who was kind of an unheard of pitcher. I don't think he's ever started a game against the Red Sox. That's a tough lineup to face for the very first time. So it'll be interesting to see what this kid's got, what kind of stuff he's got. Eovaldi, on the other hand, he rises up for big games. He is definitely a big game pitcher. So I am looking forward to this matchup, Pop. Look, the Red Sox have been more consistent this year. Yeah, they got off to a flying start, but they've played good baseball since then. They've been pitching really well. They have one of the best records in the American League still. And I think they take 2 out of 3 in New York, starting with this one here. I think tonight it's a Red Sox victory.
All right, and you know what, Mike? I'm over here in the kind of in the same boat. I love Evaldi in the spot tonight. You know what I mean? I think it's an overhype with the Yankees because it's the Yankees and it's Friday night. It's in the Bronx. Blah 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 blah. But I think at the end of the day, this guy who used to pitch for the Yankees is gonna tear the Yankees up tonight. That's my feeling, and that's my thoughts on that one as well, too. So, sir. So pretty much, I think we're both in the same boat with this one. Yankees have been burning up a lot of money with people this year as well, too. So it's hard to trust the Yankees. So we'll go ahead, and that's what we're doing here. It looks like we're both going to be on the Red Sox tonight. I love them with the they were minus 105, but they've actually crept up to minus 115 because the Yankees are getting a little bit of that late action as well, too. So let's go ahead and move on to our next game. That's going to be the Nationals and the Phillies. And a rare occasion, Max Scherzer is actually considered the dog tonight. And that's pretty silly to me because Max Scherzer is the best thing going for the Nats this year when it comes to pitching. And he's been the best thing going since they signed him to that monster contract years ago. So I think that what happens here is that the Nats be all game here. And I think that they're going to go ahead and get themselves a nice victory tonight. And you get a lot of value here where you don't have to overspend because I'm used to the days of Max Scherzer having a minus 200 money line on his day. And today it's not that. It's a minus 105. So I see nothing but value there, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and take that bet the way it is.
I'll take Max Scherzer as an underdog any day of the week. This guy is such a tremendous power pitcher. He's always amongst the league leaders in strikeouts. He'll probably lead the league this year in strikeouts once again. And, this Phillies team is very inconsistent. So are the Nationals, by the way. But, I think this is going to be a game that features two elements. The old Bryce Harper team versus the new Bryce Harper team. That's always going to be a storyline because of how much the Phillies shelled out to get him. And then the second one is Zach Wheeler seems to have really found himself in Philadelphia. This guy was a big prospect, actually, for the San Francisco Giants. He was a part of the 2016 trade that to help the Giants win that World Series back then. They shipped him to the New York Mets, and he was okay with the Mets, wasn't great. Really found himself in Philly. 4-2 record with a 2.52 ERA. But hey, man, just because he's had a few good starts does not mean that he should be favored over Max Scherzer. I'm taking the Nats minus 105 all day.
Let's get it. All right, so we move on to our next game, and this one should be a good one as well, too. This is going to be the Rays at the Rangers. Rays coming in here 36-20-22. Rangers 22-36. The Rays are a minus 135 fave tonight, while the Rangers are a plus 110 dog. So I don't know why they're such a short dog tonight, but I truly do feel that they got the better pitcher here in Josh Fleming, a guy that's 28 strikeouts over 12 walks, 2.98 ERA, 5-3 on the season. But Kyle Gibson has been dealing this season as well, too. So I know that a lot of people will probably look at this one and say under, but I think what happens here, Mike, is that we got two really bad hitting teams that are going to figure out how to hit tonight. And I like the over 8 here. So what are your thoughts here, Mike?
Oh, interesting. Well, the Rangers are a pretty decent home team. They're sitting right at 500 at home. And, look, it's funny how in all pro sports, definitely in baseball, you have teams that are kind of spoilers throughout the year. NFL spoilers are considered kind of like in December, but in baseball, you got spoilers year round. The Tigers going in and sweeping the Yankees, or, the Orioles, giving it to the Red Sox, or, you see that type of thing all the time. I think the Rangers are a pesky team for the Rays. They're going to give the Rays a little bit of their own medicine. And I think this Kyle Gibson pitcher has been dealing, like you said. I'll go ahead and take the Rangers at home.
All right.
Give me that plus 110.
I see. In the small ballpark, too. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the DBacks and the Brewers. Padres. The D-backs and the Brewers, this game is going to be a good one. You got Freddie Peralta on the mound for the Brewers tonight, one of their better pitchers. And then also you have yourself the Diamondbacks, one of the worst teams in all of baseball this year. They're going to be at plus 165. Matt Peacock is taking the mound today, 2-1 on the year, 21 strikeouts over 3 walks, and then a 4.50 ERA as well, too. So pretty much at the end of the day, you're going against Freddie Peralta, 5-1, 83 strikeouts, 24 walks as well, too, 2.38 ERA. This is another guy that can be considered for the MVP. Not the MVP, but for the Cy Young this year as well, too, the way that he's going about things. And I think with everything, what comes down to it, since you got some high strikeout pitchers here, in a sense that they don't walk a lot of guys, you would say, okay, let's take the over. But I think today he winds up being a really good pitcher's duel, and it winds up being a fairly close game that winds up going under today. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Completely agree with that. Peralta's dealing. Look, if you wear a Milwaukee Brewers hat, the pitching is infectious. All those guys are dealing. They're all crushing it. I like the Brewers and the under as well.
And I can dig it, because the thing is, when you have great pitching going, you know you don't have to score a lot of runs for your pitchers. Get them 2 or 3 runs, and hey, 1, 2, 3, get the closer out here. Let's go ahead and wrap them up and walk on down the road. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Totally on point there. Hey, Pop, can you hold down the fort for me for a quick second? Because I'm on the road here, as you know, and my laptop is dying. I need to get my charger out of the bag for a quick second before I disappear on you. So I'll catch you in like 30.
Okay,
seconds.
30. Yeah. Okay, got you. No problem. Let's move on to the next game. Our next game is going to be a doozy. It's going to be the A's and the Rockies tonight. And as I said before, we're dealing with the worst teams and 2 of the worst teams in baseball that are at the bottom of the NL West. But then you have the Oakland A's, who have been playing very good since their very bad start to the season. Now they're in a good spot. They're now number 1 in the AL West, 33-25. After a 0-6, after starting the season 0-6, this team now is 33-19 since that point. So that's pretty good right there. They are up a game as well too, and they've been even in their last 10 games. So there's nothing to really pretty much whine about or anything. If you're an A's fan, everything's working out the way that it's supposed to. This is a tough division as well too, in a sense, because you do have guys like the Seattle Mariners, who are a 500 team this year, and they'll give you fits when you come to Seattle. But the Rockies, all in all, though, man, this is just, like I said before, they got to start freeing their best players. They're 4th place, but they're still 23-34 on the season. The highlight of the year for this team, and when you look at their stats, is being 11th in batting average. Come on, dude. Seriously, they got to be better than this. And I think that they have to figure out a way to get everybody moved along. You know what I mean? Everybody who's a star on their team, they need to start getting prospects to move forward. But that's an off situation. That's an off-season situation. Mike, what are your thoughts real quick about the A's and the Rockies game tonight?
The A's are 16-8 on the road, man. That is a phenomenal record. And I like this kid, Frankie Montas. John Gray's been pitching pretty well. For the Rockies, he's pitching pretty well at home. And I say that for the Rockies because it's hard to have good stats when you play 81 games in Coors Field. He's got an ERA under 4, so we know that he's keeping the ball in the ballpark, and he's got 4 wins already to his credit. But you see that over under at 11. I think most of those runs are going to come from the Oakland A's. I'll take the A's and the over.
All right, and this is where I'm going, Mike. I know it's not a sketch, but I love John Gray on the mound. John Gray is probably one of the best things about the Rockies this season for a team that doesn't have a lot of things to brag about this year. So I like him tonight. I think he keeps this one close. It winds up being a much better game than it looks on paper. And I got the spread on the Rockies. I don't have them winning. I just have them keeping the game close. That's it. All right.
Fair enough.
All right. So we move on. Final game in the group is going to be the New York Metropolitans versus the San Diego Padres. You see, I had to throw in their original name, Mike, the New York Metropolitans.
I love it.
Everybody know, hey, if you know the Mets, you know when they became a team, they named them the New York Metropolitans, and then they said we're just gonna cut that off and we'll turn it into the Mets. So pretty much what we're doing here, we got the Mets sitting here at plus 150. You got the Padres at minus 185 tonight. You got Luke Casey, the former Padre, on the mound for the Mets tonight. And you have yourself a pretty good pitcher for the Padres tonight. Actually, I think the Padres absolutely romp at this. I don't need to talk that long about it. I think that they win by 2 or more runs because they're just playing that well down in Slam Diego right now. Mike, real quick, what are your thoughts?
They're really familiar with this pitcher. Obviously, he was on their side last year and the year before. This over-under line is really minuscule at 7. I think the Padres score 7 themselves. I love your -2. Give me the Pods in the over.
And there it is. So pretty much let's go ahead and check out another proud sponsor, Fubo TV. Fubo TV, where you can watch a ton of sports. You guys can watch live TV, be entertained by your favorite shows, all that good stuff. So you guys go ahead, click the link. You guys will get 7 days free on me, and then move forward and only have to pay $55 a month and not have to worry about a residual bill at the end of your journey with Fubo TV if you decide to move on from Fubo TV. But once you get it, you'll be hooked on it and you'll be loving every moment of it. You got TVG1, TVG2, you got NFL Network, you got a ton of stuff that's going to keep you very entertained in the sports world. With that, me and Mike Abadir will be right back with the premier sports betting.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. Let me go ahead and get rid of this real quick. And me and my man Mike Abadir are back in full effect, and pretty much let's go ahead and get into it. Talking tickets, brother. Let's talk about it. All right, we got a good deal. We got 55-1 here with the tickets today and everything like that. I think that we got 51-1 ticket. Red Sox money line -115. Mike, you're on that as well too. Nats money line -105. Mike is on that as well too. Under 8 DBacks Brewers, but Mike likes the under and he likes the Brewers in this one as well too. You taking spread or money line?
I'll go ahead and take the spread, man. They're
right. Save a couple bucks because you don't want to overspend on a loss. If they don't cover the spread, it's okay. But, when you overspend on the loss, like 180, 190, -200, it's frustrating. We all know that. And also, we have the over 8 Rays and Rangers. Mike's going with the upset tonight with the Rangers. I think it's going to wind up being a really good game, but Mike does have a good point because Kyle Gibson is a savvy veteran in this league, and he will attract a lot of attention when the trade deadline does occur as well, too. Then you have the +1.5 on the lowly Rockies tonight at Coors Field. I think John Gray deals himself a great game. Mike likes the other side with that. Nothing to blame him there for that. He's in Sacramento. He's right next to the home team, the A's, who are on the road tonight. So I know that's going to be a big part in that. So what are you doing with the A's again? You're going to play straight up money line with them tonight, and you're going to play the over, correct?
Yep. You got it
All
right.
We got the Padres, and me and Mike are on the same side of this one. Mike likes the over in this spot. I like the spread. Mike likes the spread. Let's go ahead and see how it shakes out. My ticket is 51-1 for you guys. So you go ahead and you put $20 on this ticket. You get back $1,020, Mike.
Can't beat that, Pop.
You know,
then all the winners can parlay those winnings into the Belmont Stakes card tomorrow, which is going to be off the hook.
Or they can do this. They can cut it in half, put half of it to the Belmont, then put the other half to 100x coin.
There you go. I like that.
Go ahead and invest. You know what I mean? Belmont, you might lose that 500. Go to 100x coin, you're gonna double that 500. So you guys check them out, go get your coins up, as I like to say. All right, so let's go ahead and check out my hoops group for tonight. And Mike, don't get mad at me. I gotta include the girls tonight. I love me some WNBA. So I'm going with the Lynx tonight with -5, the Minnesota squad. And then we got the Wings in the Storm going at tonight. I like the under 169. And then I'm taking the Clippers tonight with the money line. I know I skipped out on the Clippers playoff preview, but we can touch on it just real quick. I feel like the Clippers are going to win this game tonight, force a game 7, because that's exactly what the NBA wants them to do. Mike, real quick, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I apologize. I was muted there. I agree with you. I think they force a game 7, but man, does Dallas have another Dirk Nowitzki on their hands, right? I mean, the next 15 years, they have a guaranteed dynamite superstar, man. I think he's really, really put his name on the map after this series. Man, Dallas is lucky, man. Cuban's lucky. He's got another guy that can be a fan favorite for a long time. This guy's in the process of becoming a legend, and I hate to say it, but I think the Mavs will close them out in the 7th game.
Strong opinion here, Mike. I think the NBA wants the 7th game, and the Clippers get their heart broken on Sunday at home. Just like they have the last 5 out of 6 years. They've lost all those games at Staples Center, Mike. So there it is at the end of the day. All right, so let's go ahead and check out our sports book here, YouWager. And you guys, that's where the world bet's at. You guys can go ahead and check out YouWager and jump into that. It's a very fun situation. You guys can use my promo code VSX. POP. This is where the world bet's at. Once again, this is YouWager, and you guys check them on out. Use the promo code VSXPOP, and there it is from there. And so pretty much I want to go ahead and thank my main man, Mike Abadir, for coming in and sitting with me and even going through all that noise that was outside before the computer overheated and all that good stuff. So, Mike, I thank you so much for coming on in and taking over the show, talking some Belmont and everything like that as well, too. And, man, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show with me whenever you do have the times. Any final thoughts, my friend?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. As always, you and my main man, Imani, just do a bang-up job with the show. It's a pleasure for me to join you guys each and every week. It's going to be a tremendous sports weekend, man. Tomorrow is, Yankees, Red Sox, Belmont Stakes, and all the races that are leading up to the big race. Floyd Mayweather in the evening.
Sunday.
Dodgers and Braves. NBA playoffs. Man, I need to have like 4 or 5 TVs, like a sports book. Loving it, man. Thanks, Pop.
Sounds like a Vegas trip. Hey, and I'm going to call you in a minute. I'm going to call you after the show. All right, so perfect. All right, guys, we'll be back Monday. If anything comes up, I'll let you know, but I'll be flying in back to LA. I'll be there at 10:40. Hopefully everything is all done with the show and everything like that, or we might start at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, just to make sure we can be in time and give me a little bit of extra time as well, too. So you guys be on the lookout for that. We'll be back Monday through Friday next week. No interruptions to that. So you guys make sure to keep tuning in to the premier sports betting show with the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper. And this is the Primetime Angles Live, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.